by Engage Creative. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sophie.
And we run a marketing agency specifically for wedding businesses. And this podcast is long overdue, don't you think?
It is. We have wanted to do this for so long and we're finally eating the frog and doing it. We have so many things to say and we love working with businesses and business development, even though we do marketing. So we just feel like this is such a great place to start to share our thoughts and feelings and have a conversation. Yeah,
information, insights, and a little bit of inspiration as well.
Yeah.
So that should be good. But today, off the back of last month's bridal market, we thought we would start our first episode all about bridal market because there has been a lot going on. There was New York, there was Barcelona.
Yep.
We've been talking with designers about campaigns and launching. So we thought, let's talk all things bridal market this first episode, which is a little bit exciting.
It's so exciting. I think one of our parts of our business is working so closely with bridal designers. And it's so much fun and it's so rewarding because we kind of come from the start where we really kind of look at an idea and an inspiration, put together a campaign, and then we follow through with the marketing. So this kind of conversation is about really planning out your campaign and when to release it around bridal market and trying to get the best bang for your buck, essentially, and making sure that you kind of hit all of those different pillars. So, yeah.
I think as well with bridal market, when we speak to a lot of designers, they don't think to work backwards from bridal market in terms of like everything to do with it, with when they need to start designing, when they need to shoot their campaign or their lookbook. And I mean, we've had a few stories and a few times where it's come down to the last minute with
it's always the last minute.
Lookbooks especially. So giving a little bit of insights into how you can better prep for bridal market.
Essentially, what is bridal market? So everyone kind of discusses what it is. So this is a little bit of a controversial topic and I've never been to Barcelona. So hopefully next year we get the opportunity to go. But I'm really looking at Barcelona Fashion Week as the new bridal market to really watch out for. Traditionally, it would be New York twice a year, so April and October, as well as sometimes Chicago, sometimes London. And that's essentially where all of the designers come in one place. They showcase their new collections, and that's where buyers, kind of media come and look at the new trends, the new collections they buy for their boutiques. And it's a really great opportunity to kind of meet people in person, see what trends are coming out. So I feel like when we first started out, it was like this whole thing, like going to bridal market was like a 5-day kind of extravaganza. And it was sponsored by like Martha Stewart and like, it was like such a big moment. But I think people looking at bridal market now and as social media has evolved, it's really about kind of content creation, making sure that you're showcasing to your followers the new upcoming trends and just kind of like, I guess, cementing yourself as a great designer and what your brand stands for.
Yeah, and I think as well, that's the kind of like whole idea with this conversation is around it's about content creation. It's about what trends are coming up. It's about what is in your collection that's like can get people excited. But when do you actually launch your campaign? Do you launch it before bridal market? Do you launch it during bridal market? Do you wait until the gowns are in store in a few months' time? So that's like all things that we can kind of dive into in this episode. Interestingly though, do you feel like designers need to show twice a year?
No, I feel like it's a little bit of a hybrid. Like I do think releasing a collection twice a year is exciting for a brand if you do have a lot of ideas and kind of keep pushing forward. But I do think showcasing at different spaces. So if you do New York one year or Barcelona one year, I think they just have so many different places to offer or capture in the world. But I think kind of when you kind of go back, like releasing a collection, I think it's super important to preview to those buyers and then looking at releasing the collection either when it's in store or when it is about to drop in store, I think is so important because I think that that's when brides can purchase.
Well, I think with marketing in general and with how quickly things move. If you think about it, if you release or your campaign or your new collection at bridal market as it's happening, those buyers are only placing the orders then.
Yeah.
And in theory, they're not actually getting that collection in store until 3, 4, 5 months down the track.
Yeah.
So as a bridal designer, do I want to capitalize on the buzz and the excitement of bridal market and launching my campaign then? Or do I want to wait a little bit, wait till there's actually samples in store so that when brides start to see
It on
on socials and
Yeah.
getting excited about it, they're not then having like this disappointing moment when it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like the collection is launched,
but it's not available.
but it's not
in store.
available yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's something really interesting and something we are encouraging our designers that we work with is to hold your collection launch back.
Until after.
Even though it's super exciting and we have to work with like these long lead times of having campaigns done before bridal market. So we have those images to showcase. Holding off posting them on socials, launching it, putting it on your website until a couple of months after bridal market, I think it just aligns a lot better in terms of the end client, which is the buyers, and you can create a lot of buzz.
I was going to say, you create a lot of buzz during bridal market anyway.
Like snippets.
Yeah, I think that people are like, the stores are showcasing your samples in a really fun, exciting fashion because they're like, hey, I went to this designer and I saw like a drop waist this season, or bows are coming back, or like whatever it is. Buyers are so excited in that moment. So really kind of pushing the bridal market as like its own kind of marketing, and then releasing your campaign afterwards.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think as well, when you're planning with your marketing, having your campaign as like its own kind of form of, I guess, like a content pillar, and then looking at spreading out 2-3 months after that, working with your boutiques to create their own content, or even doing something simple in a studio that showcases your gowns in a different light. So a different kind of look of a model, hair up, hair down, different styling tips. I think it just gives longevity to the collection as well, and meaning that like it can stretch you out to that 6-month mark when you are planning on releasing your new collection at bridal market. So I think it's always working backwards from bridal market and kind of having that in the calendar, but what can you do before and what can you do after to kind of really solidify your brand so that you're always releasing new content and it's fun and exciting.
Well, the other thing as well is sometimes boutiques are only just getting their samples from the previous market, especially if you're showing twice a year. They're only just getting those samples delivered shortly before the next market. So you've also got to think about their buying mentality, and has your collection or your brand been in their store long enough for them to be able to truly test and see what's working, so that when they come to bridal market, they're thinking about, okay, well, here's my range of designers. Am I just doubling down on that and consolidating my designers that are working really well? Are they a newer boutique, so they're wanting to find the up and coming? Are they identifying that they have gaps either for like the style or the price point or the silhouette of a particular, like within their like library and catalogue of gowns? So there's all these different reasons why a buyer is coming to market that a designer needs to think about. And again, planning backwards from bridal market in terms of from invites to follow-ups to booking appointments.
Well, this is the other thing that I wanted to discuss with you as well, is like, how can you best prepare for bridal market? So really working backwards with the database that you have of buyers to really start to inform them of who your brand is, what makes you different and kind of unique alongside other designers. I think that right now there is so much competition out there and there's so many designers that like you really want to stand out from the crowd and what makes your brand so unique. So giving these buyers an education on who you are, where your gowns are made, what makes you kind of interesting and exciting compared to other brands. And it doesn't need to necessarily be book your appointment at this store, but it's really giving them that education behind each gown that you've got, how it's made, what your inspiration was. Well,
you're kind of putting my like little sales hat on now, because I agree, you need to start back from bridal market, like start that as the point and work backwards. to do with your sampling and all of that. But when it comes to specifically as a designer for sales, you need to be thinking about exactly what you said. How do I educate them? How do I warm them up? How do I give them information? So it's not just a book an appointment, but you're teasing them, you're building a relationship. Because for me, from my experience, when I used to show at Bridal Market for a designer, you would meet with some people, or you'd interact with them either on emails or in person, and you would get the sense and the vibe, okay, they're not a customer right now. They're not a boutique right now.
Yes.
But they will be in the future. So when you're thinking about booking as a designer, booking appointments with boutiques, I would be wanting to work at least maybe 3 months, 2 to 3 months in advance, so that you can figure out how you're going to invite them. Is it going to be
like
digital?
A drip campaign? I always find that that's a really great strategy, like a drip campaign about like working backwards, who your brand is, what makes it unique.
Yeah. What do you feel about like a physical invite versus a digital invite? Is there still like a space there for receiving physical invites?
I think there is. I mean, it's really hard because it is a financial cost on top of what bridal market is in general, which is like a huge financial investment for your brand. But I think if you really believe in your brand and you really believe that it's important to get stocked at a particular boutique, I think that it really does mean that you kind of are putting in that extra effort, standing out. I kind of even like the idea, like, could you send them an invite and a USB, or could you even like send them an invite and a rose, or something that like reflects to your brand, like that kind of makes it stand out, to kind of like, hey, stop by, would love to show you my stuff. And
I think that's the main thing these days is you have to figure out a way as a bridal designer to stand out, because the market is getting more and more saturated. So what are the things that you can do from your invite, from your how you interact with them leading up to booking an appointment or communicating about your brand, to then obviously the experience when you're at bridal market and you're in your space. It's about standing out, because it's just so...
There's so many designers. Yeah, 100%. And again, that goes back to then like kind of what we love to do is like campaigns and content creation, and kind of always bringing new and exciting things to those buyers, and also allows them opportunities that they can use the content for themselves. So we work with an incredible designer who is not afraid to invest in campaign and also content creation, and giving that kind of on a platter for those buyers to post about, and just making it so easy for them because you've got that great content means that they will post about your brand more, and then that leads to brides kind of booking an appointment and asking for that particular gown or that particular designer.
Yeah, and I think that is an important thing for designers. When you start off with, the main goal is to get into boutiques. So you'll kind of agree and go with whoever is interested. But if you really want to play it smartly, you need to be more critically thinking and align yourself with boutiques who are really active on social media.
Yeah.
Because if they are, you can promote all of you want, but ideally you want that boutique to be promoting their store in a way that showcases your brand, but showcases their aesthetic and stuff, and getting brides in the door to try on. So you want to align yourself with boutiques that are really savvy on social media, that are really good with content creation, who, again, you can give them your content, whether that be campaign or BTS or whatever, and will actually utilize that.
I think as well, like, that's actually a funny topic that you kind of bring that up, because I think that like interacting with those stores that you do want appointments with on social media is another really great way to get your brand in front of them. And that's either like commenting on their photos or interacting, or as simple as like DMing them a couple of months out, just being like, this is my brand, this is what I do, and then following it up when it does come to bridal market, because you really do. Socials is like where brides interact, but also like stores will interact with
the stores you want to be in.
Yeah, totally.
Are really active on socials.
Yeah, so I think that that's another point to kind of add to the to-do list when you're preparing for market, is like narrowing down those stores and interacting with them on socials as well.
Well, we've done it very successfully, where we've actually utilized the closed friends on stories.
Yeah.
To collate the stores, that we don't necessarily want all of the information or the stories that we're creating to go out to like the entire audience.
Yeah.
But we create that close friends of boutiques, whether they be current or potentials, so we can share information and encourage them to come to bridal market.
Book
so
an
that's another
appointment.
thing that has worked really well in the past by utilizing Instagram
close
in particular
Yeah.
to help with sales for bridal market.
Yeah.
What do we feel about trade show or bridal market versus private showings?
It really depends on where your brand is and kind of where you establish yourself. So when it's a younger brand that is in its infancy, I would think personally it would be a complete waste of money for you to have a private appointment in a hotel.
You wouldn't get anyone coming.
You would get no foot traffic.
You need the foot traffic.
Yeah, 100%. And you really need like eyeballs on your gowns. So I think aligning with a great bridal market that you can showcase at, I think is worth the investment. If you do have a well-established brand, I actually do think that showing privately creates a beautiful sense of intimacy, kind of a little bit more of a chilled factor as well. When we have gone to bridal market in the past and we've kind of had those more intimate appointments with buyers or kind of media, and there is a sense of relaxating in that private space that you kind of are showing in a hotel room. So I think really establishing yourself of, okay, do I have a set amount of stores and are they great stores? Am I really just looking at kind of honing in on those relationships? Then yes, showcasing at a hotel. But I think if you really need eyeballs on your gowns and you're starting up, showcasing at a bridal market is something that I couldn't recommend enough, because you will not get the foot traffic via a hotel.
You need to leverage that people are spending a day. There's a couple of bridal markets around, let's say New York in particular.
Yeah.
So usually buyers are saying, okay, we're going to spend one day at this bridal market, the next day at this one, and they have to dot in. One thing I would say though with private showings is you need to be really conscious about the location. Obviously, you want a really amazingly aesthetic interior design space that aligns with your brands, but location geographically, it should be relatively close to where the other bridal markets are. You don't want to be
tracing
or
around
downtown.
Yeah.
It's so difficult with traffic.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would say as like a little tidbit if you are thinking of showing privately, is pick your location very carefully.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are hotels that have kind
Very
of become
close by.
very have been used for bridal market for private showings, so you can kind of capitalize on that, and there might be a few in there. But yeah, I would agree with all the things that you said in terms of the foot traffic versus the more intimate experience, kind of based on where your brand is
sitting.
at.
Yeah, because I think that there's such important factors for both those things. Well, we are heading to bridal market, so I'm sure that we will have a lot more to say. We didn't go last year because I was heavily pregnant, so hopefully this
May
year.
now.
It is May.
New York is in October, so
Yeah.
we're 5 months away, and we're working with a couple of designers, so we're excited to showcase their collections come October. Lots of work to do in the meantime.
A lot of work, but I think that we'll have like every year there's something new. Like when we went last year, we didn't realize, not last year, the year before, we didn't realize how much content creation was such a thing. And like it's so important to showcasing your brands. Like when we went back in the day, it was about writing orders and about like kind of making sure that you kind of ticked a box in terms of pricing.
Well, people would take photos as references.
But people
because
are now
they were seeing, so many designers in a day, they would take a photo so that when they were picking and choosing their collection, they would have a reminder. Even though designers gave out lookbooks, they just kind of could look at it chronologically throughout their day and their calendar. But yeah, when we went,
changed so much.
So much is about content creation.
Yeah.
They want to be able to create content to put on their stories, and then designers are using the streets of New York to create content. So
I am excited about this October and what's coming. I know that there's like discussions around like AI, how that could be used for bridal market, or even like influencers, like getting influencers as part of like a media strategy. So I think it will be interesting to kind of see what this October kind of brings and what designers are doing and releasing.
Yeah, so thanks for listening to our very first
We have so much to
episode.
say about bridal market.
So much to say.
Yeah,
well, we can do a
these-
recap.
Yes, and
then
we
we
hope you
can-
enjoyed our first episode.
Tune in next week.